Hello, everyone. My name is Chef Colin Engel. I'm a culinary instructor here at Miami Culinary Institute. Today, I'm very privileged to have two of our students that have been with us since the beginning of the program here to demonstrate tropical shrimp cocktail for you. At the far end, I have Michael Galazza, and next to him is Danny Lorenzo. These students have been studying for the last 2 years both basic techniques and advanced techniques. I'm very proud of them, and I look forward to seeing their demonstration.
Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to do a tropical shrimp cocktail for you. And to do that, first of all, we got to cook our shrimp. Now the way we're going to do it is not a non-traditional way, however, it's becoming a lot more popular now. And that's called the technique of sous vide. Now with sous vide, basically you have to take your protein or your product, put it into the bag. You want to add a little bit of liquid. In this case, we're going to do orange juice. About half a cup. And half a cup of olive oil. All right? Then going to go ahead and put it into our cryovac machine like so. And it's very important. You want to make sure you take all the air out. Because if you don't, when you go ahead and put it in your circulator, it's going to float to the top and it's not going to give you even cooking. All right? So when everything laid nice and flat in there, you go ahead and close the lid. Let the machine do all the work for you. It's a pretty fascinating machine. Now all the air is going to come right out of that bag. And we are on to the circulator now. Now once your shrimp is cryovac, you're going to go ahead and place it in your circulator. Now your circulator is set at 55 degrees Celsius, and this is going to go on for 55 minutes. Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and ice bath your shrimp. Simply place it on ice, and once it's nice and cool, cut the bag open, pour the shrimp out, reserve the liquid, and off you go. Daniel?
Okay, so to start off our vinaigrette, I have here, I have jalapenos, I have pineapple vinegar, I have coconut milk, sugar, salt, pepper. So what I want to start off with my solids. I'm putting in all my jalapeno in first. Then I want to add my vinegar. After I add my vinegar, I want to add my sugar. And I want to mix this in first. I want to make sure all that sugar gets dissolved in that vinegar. And then I'm going to slowly add my coconut milk. My coconut milk is going to be my oil base for this vinaigrette. You just want to whisk it until it's completely emulsified. You don't want it to break, so you're going to just slowly whisk it, There's no rush on this. So you get this really nice, creamy, emulsified vinaigrette. Want to finish it off with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is this pineapple vinegar you probably haven't seen before. You could find it at your local specialty market. And this vinegar is actually really cool because not only can you drink it, but it's also very good for the digestive system. So this is something that you can also use in vinaigrettes, and you could drink it as well, and it's very good for you. So now on to Mike.
The way we're going to use them today is the shrimp got cut up into bite-sized little pieces. About half-inch pieces, more or less. Now, this morning, Daniel and I were lucky enough to go down to Miami Culinary Institute's garden, and we picked some beautiful tropical fruits. We got some really nice pineapple, some mango, and some papaya. So basically, if you were sitting on the beach and drinking a pina colada, and you happen to want some shrimp instead, this is what we're doing. We are making you a nice tropical shrimp. All right? Now, we're going to take our shrimp and put it into the bowl. Once the shrimp is in the bowl, we're going to go and add our papaya, pineapple, our mango, and now the good stuff, our coconut vinaigrette. Don't be shy. Give it a good bath. Now you want to mix that up real well. Real nice consistency on there. What we're going to do, I'm going to pour it in our little martini glass. And last but not least, we're going to garnish a little bit of fresh toasted coconut. And there you have it. On behalf of Daniel and I, I'd like to thank you. And this is our tropical shrimp cocktail.
Fresh thinking is being served at Miami-Dade College. Create your own recipe for success in the evolution of food culture at the Miami Culinary Institute. Learn the skills you need to jumpstart your career in the culinary arts. Turn green into gourmet and celery into salary. Miami Culinary Institute. Food, culture, innovation. Visit us at miamidadeculinary.com. Register now. Miami Culinary Institute.
Miami-Dade College, 8 campuses, 7 bachelor degrees. Miami-Dade College is the largest institution of higher education in the United States. With 8 campuses and 7 bachelor degrees, Miami-Dade College has the right education for you. Film, television and digital production, health science, public safety management, supervision and management, education, electronic engineering technology, and nursing. 8 campuses, 7 bachelor degrees. Miami-Dade College, the power of opportunity.
The School for Continuing Education and Professional Development has an outreach center in Aventura. With many classes to offer, the center has the perfect course for you. We offer many computer courses like Microsoft Office, web design, and various IT certifications. For more information or to register, you can visit us online or call 305-936-2585. The future is in your hands. Register now.
Today, I'm very privileged to have 2 of our advanced students. They've been with us since the beginning of our program. They're going to demonstrate a holiday meal for you today, or a special occasion meal. On the far end is Danilo Martinez, and next to him is Adrian Castillo. They have been studying the basics since they've started here, as well as advanced techniques. I'm very proud to have them in this position to be able to demonstrate a meal for you. So we'll turn it over to them.
All right, guys. So today what we're doing is we're cooking what we call is a standing rib roast, or most commonly known as a prime rib in high-end restaurants. What we're trying to do here is change it up a little bit. Usually for holidays, we think of turkey, we think of ham, but today we want to go ahead and do our twist on a steak dinner. So pretty much buying a steak is very scary because it's an expensive piece of meat, but at the end it's very easy to actually make. So from your butcher, you ask them for a standing rib roast, depending on how many people or how much quantity you want from them. Usually they're sold between 2 ribs or 7 ribs, and this is the way that you purchase it from the market. When you actually buy it, this is a two rib standing rib roast. When you buy it, what you want to look for is the fat content inside the meat. Usually when you ask for regular prime rib or rib roast, this is called choice quality meat. And if you want a fancier cut of meat, it's usually 50% more expensive, and that will be top choice kind of meat. So What you want to look for is these lines of fat, because these lines of fat pretty much is what gives the flavor to the meat. Most people like to leave the fat on top of the meat because fat means flavor, guys. And also the bones. The bones actually give a lot of flavor. So this will be a 2-rib standing rib roast. What you want to do is very easy to make, guys. This is pretty much you get home late and you want to impress your significant other, and what you do is you got the steak. Very easy. Let's make first a rub or a marinade for it. What we do is we take 1 cup of olive oil and 1 cup of vinegar. And you could put it either on your food processor or you could put it on a blender. You want to add some color to it and some flavor, so you want to use some green peppers. Shallots. If you don't have shallots, you could use onions. Some garlic. And salt. This is about 2 tablespoons of salt. Remember, the rib roast is a very thick piece of meat, so it's very hard for you to actually over season. You want to make a paste out of this. After 2 minutes, this paste is going to look something like this, which is a rub. Now, what we want to do is we want to season the meat with salt. You could use sea salt, kosher salt. And remember, guys, of what I said. Don't be afraid of the salt because it's a very thick piece of meat. So you want the salt to actually sink into the meat. And so you could have a very flavorful meat. So after this, you get a roasting pan. Put it in the center. Garlic. Usually you would think that you just want to clean the garlic, you want to peel the garlic. Let's just do it for the flavor. So I'm just adding regular garlic. Besides, we're in a time budget, so you want to make sure that you do everything quick. And then you want to drizzle or sauce on top of the meat. Okay. All right, guys, after having this prepared, what you're going to do is you're going to put it on a 500-degree oven. What's going to happen is at a very high temperature, this sears the meat. What do we mean by searing the meat? Basically, what we're doing is we're cooking the outside very rapidly, and we're keeping all the moisture inside the meat. So what you're going to have is a very flavorful crust in the outside, and in the inside, you're going to have a very tender and juicy steak. You want to cook this about at 325 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes per pound. So just calculate, if you bought 2 pounds of meat, then you want to cook it for 30 minutes. If you bought 5 pounds of meat, then you want to cook it for about an hour and a half. So guys, now while this is cooking, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how easy it is to make side dishes for this wonderful meal. And my friend Adrian is going to go ahead and help you guys out with that.
All right, guys. I'm going to do 2 relatively simple sides. The first one is cranberry sauce. We've all had the cranberry sauce from a can that's very gelatinous and it comes out in one giant thing. And it's good. I like it, personally. However, I'm going to go ahead and take cranberry sauce up a notch. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do dried cranberries and dried cherries as well. So that's the first thing I'm going to put into this small little saucepan. Next, to add a healthy and tangy and sweet kick, I'm going to do about 8 ounces of pomegranate juice. So it's not just cranberries. It's pomegranate, it's cherries, and it's cranberries. Next, I'm going to add 1 cinnamon stick, and it adds that spicy, nice holiday flavor that we're all looking for at this time of year. And last, but certainly not least, well, actually, it's not exactly last, but we'll get to the last thing at the end. Next, I'm going to add a rather unusual ingredient that you might not know about. It's called Chinese 5-spice, and it has a nice spicy anise flavor. It's not quite cinnamony. It's more anisey. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of it. All right, so basically this is a really easy dish because you just throw all the ingredients together in one pot, give it a quick stir, and just let it go on medium heat for about half an hour. So while my cranberry cherry chutney is cooking, it's going to take about half an hour to 35 minutes. I'm going to make a classic garlic mashed potatoes. So the first thing I did was I boiled 4 large potatoes. If you want to make it with Yukon Gold potatoes, you can do like 8 Yukon Gold potatoes. Next, what I have here simmering is buttermilk, heavy cream. It's about 2 cups of heavy cream to like a half a cup of buttermilk to a half a stick of unsalted butter. I went ahead and salted it, and I added 2 cloves of garlic. This is what we have here, simmering. So I have my boiled potatoes here. You want to boil these till they're tender all the way through. Nobody wants like raw pieces of potato in their silky mashed potatoes. I love silky mashed potatoes. My mom for Thanksgiving always serves like lumpy mashed potatoes. That's her preference and my father's preference. I'm not that way. I love a silky, smooth mashed potato. So that's what I'm making today. I took all the peels off, by the way, before I boiled it. So here we go. Before I do this, I want to introduce my handy dandy ricer. This is the way to make perfectly silky mashed potatoes every time. It's fun. It's fun to get your aggressions out on this thing. So what you want to do is you want to scrape all that nicely grated potato off the sides. All right, here we go. This is going to be nice. It's like nicely mashed already. So all you have to do is add the cream and the butter mixture and the buttermilk mixture, and you have silky, nice mashed potatoes. You could, of course, do any combination you want. You can add like onions to that. You can add cheddar cheese to it and make like a nice cheesy potato. All right. Now we're going to add our nice warmed liquid to our potatoes and slowly just start to stir it in and incorporate everything together. Sometimes you might have made too much liquid. Sometimes the potatoes are too soft. You don't need all the liquid, but sometimes you do because the potatoes aren't exactly as tender as you want them to be. This is pretty much done. I'm going to garnish it with some green onions for that nice onion flavor and that fresh herby bite. All right. So here it is. This is our silky garlic mashed potatoes with green onions. And this is our final chutney, our cherry and cranberry chutney. That's what you want. You want a syrupy liquid from the pomegranate juice, and you want the cherries and the cranberries to be nice and plump and fully reconstituted. Now that we have our two sides and our roast is almost done, Danilo is gonna plate it for us and show you how this combination comes together.
All right, guys, so it's been about 45 minutes. What you want to do usually is you want to time about half an hour before the time you calculate it, and start measuring the temperature on your meat. What you want to do is you want to stick a thermometer on the thickest part of the meat, and you want to reach a temperature of 110 to 115 if you guys like it rare. And if you like a medium, it's going to be 120 to 130. A lot of people don't realize this, but let's say if you have kids at home and they don't like red meat, or they're very scared of it, what you want to do is you want to serve them the outside part of the rib roast, which is pretty much well done. And then for the grown-ups or the people that like medium or rare meat, then basically you just do the middle part. Now, after removing the meat from the oven, the meat is going to continue to cook for about the next 10 to 15 minutes. So the temperature is going to raise. So what you want to do is you want to cover it in aluminum foil and let it rest about 15 to 20 minutes before you cut it. If you cut it while it's still hot, then you're going to have a very dry piece of meat. So I'm going to cross my fingers and I hope this meat came out as awesome as I described it to you guys. All right, guys, this is a standing rib roast. What you want to do is you want to cut portion size depending on your guest. So if you want a lot of meat, just cut them a big piece of meat. If they want a little bit of meat, just give them a little bit of meat. If you notice, you have a crisp outside, full of flavor, and a tender, juicy piece of meat in the middle. If you see here, the red, it's pretty much a very well-cooked meat. Now, the way that we plate this, you start with a clean plate. What you want to do is you want to create a bed of mashed potatoes. And at the end, this is the most important part of the meal as well. You want to make sure that your food tastes very good. Now the cranberries. So guys, remember, plating is what makes the whole presentation come together. And the steak. Now guys, this plate itself is pretty much the perfect blend of protein, carbohydrates, and sweets. And some people love gravy and some people don't like gravy. So this is pretty much all you need to actually make the meat juicy. Basically, you drip the pan drippings on top of it, which is all the meat flavors and all the juices. You could put some in your mashed potatoes if you would like. And also, guys, remember those garlics that we actually left whole? You could serve them too. And there'll be like a nice treat. They get very sweet and caramelized. And this would be your take or your twist on a holiday dinner or on a special occasion. A little trick that I've learned here, when you're plating, you want to have a balance of colors. You want to make sure that you have a lot of contrast, because at the end, the combination of colors actually allows the person that's going to eat to actually savor the food and the ingredients. So a little trick. Notice how I cut the meat, but now what I'm gonna do is, instead of actually presenting it like that to our customer, what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it around. See, now you could see the red part of the meat. Now you could see the fat part of the meat, and that creates a contrast with our cranberry sauce and with our mashed potatoes. So at the end of the day, this is a restaurant-ready prime rib for you guys to take home or to make it in any special occasion. So, like I said, I want to thank you guys again, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this to you guys.
En Miami-Dade College, el fogón está encendido, la mesa está servida y tu receta al éxito espera en el Miami Culinary Institute. Aprende las habilidades de una carrera fascinante en las artes culinarias. Recuerda que el amor entra por la cocina y un buen sueldo también. Miami Culinary Institute, innovación, cocina y cultura. Visita miamidadeculinary.com. Matricúlate ya, Miami Culinary Institute.
El programa de Educación Continua y Desarrollo Profesional tiene un centro en Aventura. Con muchas clases disponibles, este centro tiene el curso indicado para usted. Ofrecemos cursos como Introducción a la Computadora, Microsoft Office, Diseño Gráfico y certificaciones en Tecnología de Computadoras. Para más información y para matricularse, llámenos al 305-936-2585. Su futuro está en sus manos. Matricúlese ya.
I'd like to introduce two of our more advanced students. They've been with us since the beginning of the program. At the far end of the counter is Maria Orentes, and next to her is Luis Flores. I'm privileged to have them demonstrate to you today a baked Alaska.
Okay, so we're going to start with the baked Alaska, and then the baked Alaska gets a brownie base, it gets an ice cream, and it gets a meringue. So we're going to do all three steps for you guys today. So to start, we're going to start with the brownie. So here I have 150 grams of chocolate that I'm going to pour into this bowl. I have 113 grams of butter. And then this is going to go into the bain-marie, which I have set up in the back. So we're going to get this chocolate melted. And once this chocolate's melted, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder and half a cup of sugar. You don't want to have your bain-marie too hot because your chocolate tends to scorch, and it'll give your brownie a really bad flavor. So now that our chocolate's melted, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and add the 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Work that really well in there. And then right next to that, we're going to add our half a cup of sugar, which I have right here. It's good to keep on stirring to bring the chocolate down from the temperature that you had it before, so that we don't, once we add our eggs, it doesn't scramble our eggs. Any questions so far? Okay. So we have a homogeneous mixture, as you can see. And to this, we're going to add our eggs one at a time, incorporating well as we go. Now we're ready to add our flour, our vanilla, and our pinch of salt. So I'll start with the wet. So vanilla, that was 1 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and lastly our flour. I like to add the flour last so that the gluten strands don't get worked up so much and your brownie does not come out tough. As you notice, there's no leavening ingredients to this brownie because we're looking for a really nice and dense brownie. Make sure you get everything scraped down. So this is what your mix should look like once you're done. See how it's really nice and runny? And then we're going to grab, this is a 9-inch pan. Make sure you spray it. Spray the bottom, and then you spray the top of parchment paper. And then this is going to go into your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to bake it for 15 minutes. We have one that we did earlier. So this is what it should look like after 20 minutes. We're going to flip it over to cool it down a little bit. And now I'm going to pass it to Louis. And he's going to introduce you guys how to make butterscotch ice cream.
Thanks, Maria. So we're going to do our butterscotch ice cream with toffee bits in it. And how we're going to start is we're going to do the butterscotch part first. So what we're doing is we're taking 2 tablespoons of butter. To that, we're going to add a cup of brown sugar. And we're going to let it cook a bit, let all the butter mix in well with the brown sugar. And after it's come up and cooked a little bit, we're going to add half a cup of cream. Want to move this around, not let it stick around too long. Let it cook well. You want it to bubble up a bit. Make sure it gets in there real well. To that, as we said, we're going to add half a cup of heavy whipping cream. And once we've poured the cream in there, you're going to want to whisk it and continue whisking it until you have a smooth consistency. And that's pretty much what we want it to look like. Nice and smooth. You don't want any lumps in there. Once it gets to this point, we're gonna just set it aside and we'll continue with our ice cream base. For this ice cream, we are using a cup of heavy cream. And to that, we're gonna add 2 cups of half and half. Combine those in a pot. We're gonna let it come up to a simmer. Get it nice and warm. You don't want it at a boil, so make sure you keep an eye on that. Once that's at temperature, we're gonna throw in 6 eggs to this. You don't want to throw the eggs in there all at once at room temperature. You want to bring them up to temperature little by little. So what we do is we take some of the warm cream with a ladle, pour it in, and bring the egg mixture up to the temperature that our cream is at. Should be warm enough. I'm going to do this in a steady stream. You don't want to get it too hot too quickly, otherwise your eggs are going to scramble. After you've tempered your eggs, you're going to throw them back in the cream mixture. And we're going to let it cook for a couple of minutes. What we're trying to get out of this is a thick consistency. You want it to coat the back of a spoon. Remember to keep whisking this mixture here so your eggs don't cook. Low flame, slow and steady. So this might take a little while. But once this is ready, we're going to combine our ice cream base here with the butterscotch part that we had done earlier. And then we'll strain that and we'll set it aside to cool. You can leave it outside and let it cool naturally for a couple of hours, or you can put your container in an ice bath and let it cool a lot quicker. The toffee bits that we're going to be putting in this ice cream, don't go in your ice cream until you've already started churning it. So after a few minutes, we're going to have our mixture here thicken up, and it'll be ready then. At that point, we want to add the first part of our mixture. We're going to do this at a slow stream as well. Make sure it incorporates really well. Always whisk as you're combining the two. Get every last drop. All right. So we've combined the two. And now it's just a matter of waiting. You don't want this mixture to cool off on its own. We want to strain it beforehand because we want a very smooth base. So we're just going to pour it through this right here. That's our base. As soon as that's cooled, you can throw it in your ice cream machine, and depending on which ice cream machine you're using, you can have your ice cream ready within either 5 minutes or 20 minutes. When we've put it into the machine, what we like to do is, when it's about 3/4 of the way done, we'll throw in bits of toffee, chocolate toffee. And you don't want to throw them in whole like this, so we just toss them in a food processor and make them nice and not too small pieces. You know, like a little bit of a chunkiness in there. But then you combine them and you have your ice cream there. And once your ice cream's done, you know, we need the meringue to finish it off. So back to Maria for that.
Thank you, Louis. So now we're going to do the Italian meringue, which is pretty much what makes it a baked Alaska. We're going to torch it at the end. So Italian meringue is pretty much whipped egg whites with sugar, and then you cook those with syrup that you make. So for that, we're going to make the syrup first. It's going to be 1.5 cups of sugar, and then, so our 1.5 cups of sugar. Then we have 1/3 cup of water and 1 tablespoon of glucose. So glucose, as you can see, is an extract from the sugar cane. It's very elastic and syrupy. This allows us to bring sugar up to a really high temperature without scorching it. So get that all in there and try to mix it as much as possible and dilute it. So we're going to put this in our stove, and we're going to try to take it up to 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, our syrup is going. We're going to whip our egg whites with our sugar. So I have a cup of egg whites here. And I have 1/2 cup of sugar. So already it's coming to medium peaks. So this is up to where you want to bring your egg whites to be beaten. See how they're very stiff? See how they're very, very, very stiff? They're gonna come down. These are gonna deflate once we add our meringue sugar. So you wanna make them really nice and fluffy. That's really what you're looking for. We're gonna continue beating so that these do not deflate. And we're gonna check really quick on the stove our meringue syrup. See what temperature it's at. So what I have in my hand right now is a candy thermometer. Very important when you're cooking with sugar, because sugar comes up to such a high temperature that it can burn anything that you want to put in it. If you put a plastic thermometer or anything like that, it will get scorched. You have to be very careful. These are really handy too because they tell you what temperatures the sugar can go, like a hard boil, soft boil, and the sugar stages to pool sugar, which I really like. So right now it's at 220. We're gonna let it go a little longer. This was actually one of the first recipes I ever learned to make from pastry, so it's something that I really like to make. All right, so we're almost there. You're gonna start seeing that if you do not have a candy thermometer, then you can just see in the bubbles how it's gonna slowly start becoming harder for them to bubble. Pretty much, that's how my pastry chef taught me to do it by eyesight. And we are there. You see how the middle, it's harder for the bubbles to come up? That's really what you were looking for. And then we're gonna turn this off. And we're gonna come back here and add it. Make sure that you're whipping this really fast to not curdle your egg whites. We're gonna go a little bit at a time. And we're gonna whip this for 30 minutes at the highest speed it goes, depending on your mixer. So after the 30 minutes have passed of whipping, we're gonna let it rest for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna re-whip it for 30 minutes again. This is what it's supposed to look like after we have whipped it for the first 30 minutes. Now we're gonna let this rest for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna come back and re-whip it. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we had to let the meringue sit for 15 minutes, and then we were gonna re-whip it for 30 minutes. So this is our end product. I have it here in a piping bag. You see how it's very nice and sturdy, and this is what it's gonna actually form. Very nice stiff peaks, and you want this so that it holds up against the ice cream. And when we torch it, it's gonna look really nice. So now we're gonna start making the dessert for you guys. So here we have the brownie that we baked earlier, and we're gonna cut it with our ring mold. So this recipe actually yields for 4 servings. 1, 2. Be very careful because since the brownie is so moist, it's very crumbly. And last one. Okay. So to plate the dessert, I'm going to grab the best one. And then we're going to have our ice cream.
Here's our ice cream. It's already done. We have the bits of toffee in it, as we said we were going to do. Gonna get a nice scoop of it. Put it right on the brownie.
And then now we're gonna come with the meringue. We're gonna go around. And now we're gonna torch it. And there you have it, Baked Alaska. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Now you've seen our 3 student pairs demonstrating 3 different courses. And if you think about it, they started with an appetizer, created an entree, and finished with a dessert. So I hope that you enjoy making that meal at home or part of the meal. If you're interested in coming and learning as much as they have over the past couple of years, you can see the information on the screen about the Miami Culinary Institute. And I thank you for watching. Look for more of our shows in the future.
This program is brought to you by Miami Culinary Institute at Miami-Dade College. For more information about the schools and the culinarium program, please visit www.miamidadeculinary.com or call 305-237-3276.